Have you ever wondered why some people manage to build wealth over their lifetime, while most work hard, get raises, change jobs, yet remain stuck in the same financial place? Is it above-average intelligence, luck, or simply being in the right place at the right time? Or is there something much deeper behind these differences? The truth is that the way you think about money is not something you're born with. It is shaped from an early age, almost invisibly, by everything you've heard about work, security, risk, and success. And what's most surprising is that very few people ever stop to question whether the model we were taught actually works. Before we continue, if you enjoy content that truly makes you reflect on money, mindset, and decisions that impact your life in the long run, make sure to subscribe to the channel. The goal here isn't to sell empty promises or magical shortcuts, but to help you see the financial game with more clarity, awareness, and critical thinking, something that's rarely taught in school, college, or the workplace. When we talk about the rich dad, a concept popularized by Robert Kiyosaki, we're not just talking about someone who has more money saved or a higher income. We're talking about a completely different way of seeing the world. A mindset that prioritizes assets over salary, learning over blind stability, and freedom over short-term comfort. It's exactly this difference in thinking that separates the minority who build real wealth from the majority who spend their entire lives working, yet never feel like they've truly moved forward. From childhood, most people are trained to follow a predefined script. We're taught that success means predictability, studying to pass exams, getting a stable job, performing well, and over time climbing a few steps within the same structure. This model offers security, but it also conditions the mind to always depend on external systems. Very few are encouraged to understand how the system truly works. Most simply learn how to fit into it. Over the years, this logic turns into an automatic mental pattern. The more effort you put in, the more money you should earn. The problem is that effort has limits, and so does time. Those who rely exclusively on this trade-off become trapped in an endless race, where any interruption, a layoff, an economic crisis, or a health issue, can jeopardize their entire income. Even so, this model is rarely questioned, because it's exactly how most people live. The rich dad begins exactly where most people stop, with questioning. Instead of accepting work solely as a means of survival, he sees a salary as starting capital, something to be allocated strategically, not just consumed. For him, working is not the end goal of the game, but a necessary phase of building. While many people focus their energy on increasing short-term income, the rich dad directs his attention toward structures that generate value over time. He thinks in terms of assets, systems, and income streams that don't depend directly on his daily presence. Not because this is simple or fast, but because he understands that financial freedom doesn't come from constant effort, it comes from consistent decisions made over the years. This difference in mindset completely reshapes priorities. Instead of asking how much he will earn next month, the rich dad focuses on what he is building for the coming years. He understands that a salary pays the bills, but wealth buys time. And ultimately, it's control over one's own time that separates those who merely work from those who truly thrive. The way a person relates to risk also reveals a great deal about their financial mindset. Most people are taught to seek security above all else, treating any possibility of loss as failure. The fear of making mistakes, failing publicly, or making wrong decisions creates a silent paralysis. Many opportunities go unexplored not because of a lack of ability, but because of excessive caution. The rich dad sees risk differently. He understands that there is no growth without exposure, and that trying to eliminate risk entirely is an illusion. Instead of avoiding it, he studies, prepares, and learns how to manage it. Making mistakes, for him, is not a sign of incompetence, but a natural part of the financial and professional learning process. This difference becomes even more evident when problems arise. When facing financial difficulties, the most common reaction is to cut back on dreams, lower expectations, and accept a reality smaller than the one originally desired. The mindset of the majority is focused on surviving the problem, not growing from it. The focus shifts to simply avoiding pain, even if that comes at the cost of long-term plans. The rich dad reacts differently. He sees problems as tests that reveal gaps in knowledge and opportunities for growth. Instead of positioning himself as a victim of the situation, he takes responsibility and turns obstacles into learning experiences. Each challenge becomes a source of information that helps refine strategies and strengthen future decisions. Another profound difference lies in how education is viewed. For many people, studying is seen as a phase of life that begins in childhood and ends with a diploma or a promotion. After that, learning becomes limited to professional routines, with little deeper reflection on money, choices, and long-term consequences. The rich dad understands that financial education is a continuous process. He knows that the world changes, economic rules evolve, and those who fail to keep up end up dependent on other people's decisions. That's why he constantly seeks to learn about investments, taxes, business, and economics, not as a hobby, but as a necessity. Beyond technical knowledge, he values something that is rarely taught: human behavior. The rich dad understands that financial decisions are not just rational, but deeply emotional. Fear, greed, and social pressure influence choices all the time, and understanding this makes all the difference in long-term results. Term results. This mindset is directly connected to how he views status and success. For most people, success needs to be visible and immediately recognized. Cars, clothes, and expensive possessions become symbols of achievement, even when they are financed or supported by debt. Appearances end up mattering more than the structure behind them. The rich dad follows the opposite path. He understands that real wealth is usually quiet. He prefers to strengthen his financial foundation before showing any external signs of prosperity. By avoiding spending driven by social validation, he protects his capital and reduces the need to work constantly just to maintain appearances. For him, looking rich is irrelevant. What truly matters is being financially free. The relationship with time completes this cycle of differences. Many people live busy lives, with packed schedules, yet are rarely productive in a strategic sense. They work hard to sustain a lifestyle that repeats itself month after month, without building anything that reduces this dependence in the future. The rich dad sees time as the scarcest asset that exists, precisely because it cannot be recovered. That's why his financial decisions always take long-term impact into account. He understands that freedom does not come from always being busy, but from structuring choices that give you control over your own life. This way of thinking does not dismiss hard work or stability. On the contrary, it values discipline and effort, especially in the early stages. The difference is that the rich dad does not confuse effort with progress. Working hard without strategy can keep someone busy for decades without ever creating true independence. At its core, it all comes down to understanding that money works like a game with its own rules. Most people enter this game without knowing them, simply repeating behaviors they learned by watching others. The rich dad chooses to study these rules before playing, because he knows that without understanding, the outcome tends to be the same no matter how hard you try. In the end, the biggest difference is not how much someone earns, but how that person thinks. People with similar incomes can end up with completely opposite financial outcomes. One spends everything they earn to sustain the present. The other uses the same money to build options, freedom, and time for the future. Thinking like the rich dad doesn't happen overnight. It's an internal transformation that requires questioning old beliefs, facing fears, and letting go of habits reinforced over many years. This process can be uncomfortable, but that's exactly where growth happens. It all begins with a simple, yet powerful step: questioning. Question what you were taught, question your financial decisions, and reflect on whether the path you're on today truly leads to the life you want to live tomorrow. If this video made you think differently, don't stop here. Subscribe to the channel to keep developing a mindset that breaks away from autopilot and moves toward more conscious, strategic choices aligned with freedom. Because in the end, changing the way you think is always the first step to changing any result.